Morning, sir.
The board is not visible. I think problem in the board. So today's topic, audit evidence. This is relating to Sri Lanka Auditing Standard 500, right? We have to study slides as well as contents given in the Sri Lanka Auditing Standard 500. So both to study this note, these slides prepared for workshop with CA Sri Lanka. So this is summarized form. After discussing, we will discuss in detail in the Sri Lanka auditing standard. What is given in the standard is summarized here, right? So we'll see what are the. This is SLAUS 500. Can you see these slides, students? Students, can you see these slides? I don't know whether you can hear me. Can you see these slides? We are going to discuss in this lecture program. The purpose of this standard to establish standard and provide guidance on what constitute audit evidence. First, you should know what is audit evidence. What do you think about what is audit evidence? I'm not asking the definition. I am asking what you understand about this term evidence. Evidence is the basis for an opinion, right? If it is a court case, murder case, judgment is given based the guilty or not guilty based on the evidence. Every court cases like that. Auditors also giving judgment on the financial statement based on the evidence. Evidence is important. Evidence is important to express an opinion. What type of opinion? Maybe unmodified opinion or modified opinion, such as qualified opinion, adverse opinion, or disclaim opinion. Whatever the opinion is based on the evidence. So, based on the evidence, only auditor can decide what type of opinion. Monoda mathe denda puluwan based on the evidence. Mono type of mathe opinion is depending on evidence. Basically, evidence is information. Evidence means information obtained by the auditor, retained by the auditor, or created by the auditor during the course of audit, right? So, to come to a conclusion on the financial statement, or evidence is based for the conclusion on the financial statement. So, that if you want to qualify the audit report, the financial statement, so you must give some evidence to qualify. The reasons to qualification also given in the audit report. So, evidence is basically needed for the auditor to express an opinion. This is based for the conclusion on the financial statement. I hope you understood. We will study further, right? What constitute audit evidence? quantity and quality of audit evidence, right? This is called sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, quality and quantity. Sufficiency and appropriateness. Sufficiency means quantity of the evidence, right? Based on the audit risk, auditor can decide based on the audit assessment of the audit risk, how much of audit evidence to be obtained is dependent on the risk assessment. Likewise, appropriateness means quality. There are some criteria we'll discuss later. What type of evidence is quality? The competence evidence or appropriateness evidence, quality and quantity of evidence we will discuss in detail. That audit evidence, according to the standard, auditors should obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. That means quantity and quality. Available audit procedure to obtain evidence. There are two audit procedures called test of control and substantive audit procedure. Two type of audit procedure.
Excuse me, screen is not visible.
Sorry?
Screen is not visible.
Still not visible. I think light problem. Wait. Now, what about now? Is it okay?
No, sir.
That I thought light problem. Otherwise, we had to set one. Now is okay, no? How is now? Now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wait. I will adjust this. I think now okay, no? Is it okay now? Please.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. That there are audit procedures. There are two types of audit procedures called test of control and substantive audit procedures. We'll discuss later. What happened? Auditor's responsibility with respect of audit evidence. This is a requirement, right? Auditor's responsibility in respect of audit evidence.
Excuse me, sir. Your screen is visible, sir.
which not visible, invisible. That slides or blackboard, board or please tell
Slides,
me.
sir. Slides.
Slide not visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which slide? What about now? What about now?
Not visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now we are discussing auditor's responsibility with respect to audit evidence. According to the standard, auditor should obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to be able to draw reasonable conclusion on which to base the audit opinion, right? This is the statement is directly copied down from the standard, right? Auditor should obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. We'll discuss later what is sufficiency and appropriateness to be able to draw reasonable conclusion. As we discussed earlier, the auditors are giving not absolute conclusion, absolute opinion or absolute conclusion. The auditors are draw this evidence is important to draw reasonable conclusion on which to base the audit opinion. On which to base the audit opinion. So, audit opinion is depending on evidence. Auditor evidence is important to express an opinion, reasonable conclusion to the auditor. So, without evidence, you can't give an opinion. For example, if auditor asked to report on the Eastern University financial statement, birds are stating that our finance branch is destroyed by fire. All the vouchers, documents, file, books, records, ledger, journal, everything is destroyed by fire. Is it possible to obtain any evidence? You must answer, students. Is it possible to obtain any സാക്ഷിയെ കണ്ട පුළුവത് മറ്റേത് എന്തുകൊണ്ടാ സാക്ഷി ഓണ് സാക്ഷി കണ്ടോൺ, right? Without sakshi, without evidence, auditors are not in a position to express an opinion on the financial statement. So, consequence is this. Auditors give a disclaimer opinion. Disclaimer opinion means auditor will state we are unable to express an opinion on the financial statement due to the sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Sufficient appropriate audit evidence unable to obtain by the auditor. That is why auditor not in a position to give an opinion on the financial state. So you must think about the evidence is important. Evidence is we can study in detail in the SLA US 705 relating to audit opinion, right? Type of opinion, right? The evidence is not available, right? There are two criteria for the opinion. Evidence, misstatement in the financial statement, scope limitation. Evidence is ganda barina scope limitation. Scope means whatever the necessary audit procedure to be carried out by the auditor, right? That is called scope. Scope means extent of work. Evidence is not available, right? Scope is limitation. scope limitation out, scope limitation is there. Auditor is not in a position to express an opinion on the financial statement, which are pervasive. Pervasive is very important. Small matter, no problem. Pervasive. This financial the finance branch of the Eastern University destroyed by fire. Auditor consider these are pervasive and material, important and material. So auditors not in a position to give an opinion on the financial statement. He can disclaim opinion only, can give on the financial statement. So this paragraph you must clearly understand regarding the auditor's responsibility with respect to audit evidence. Auditor should obtain sufficient means quantity, right? Quantity is one thing is based on, one is that this is a professional judgment. Charge gun owner based on the risk assessment and in addition to the professional judgment, right? Then appropriateness means quality of the evidence, right? Competence of the evidence.
Sir.
Oh, yes.
Sir, whiteboard is visible, but screen sharing is not visible.
That is a network problem, maybe, but earlier visible, no? Slides earlier
No,
visible,
sir.
not visible.
Sir.
Sorry,
No, sir.
I say, what is the problem? I am not technically competent enough to carry out this task. Screen sharing is pause. Resume share.
Now okay, sir.
Now okay. Sorry, something wrong. Right. Thank you very much. So auditor's responsibility with respect of audit evidence, right? This is the auditor should obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to be able to draw reasonable conclusion on which to base the audit opinion, right? Within a mathya, reasonable mathya depending on Saatshya, right? Saatshya nata opinion then the berry, right? What includes audit evidence, right? It may be visible or invisible, right? Sometimes visible. Visible means you can see, right? Invisible, the data is in computer or that electronic form. You can't see this, right? So different type of evidence are available. Now, generally, visible evidence included all this. Record of initial entries, supporting documents, support of initial entries. So the double entries also evidence. If the purchase is carried out, cash is credit, purchase account debit, that initial entries, some supporting documents. What are those supporting documents for the purchases? Purchase order, purchase requisition, purchase order, supplier's invoice, payment voucher, goods received note, all are supporting documents, right? 11 files, tender files, everything supporting documents. That is also evidence. Minutes of meeting, some authorization is given in the meetings. So to spend certain amounts, also million for the construction. So authorities given in the meeting minutes, right? So invoices, confirmations, benchmark information, computation, reconciliations, worksheets such as cost allocations, control manuals, copies of contract, analysis report, main ledger and subsidiary ledger, all this called audit evidence, right? So what include in the visible evidence, all these are called audit evidence. Auditors always deal with this. Audit karanakota, audit practically karanakota, ukkama pariksha karanona. Ellathayum check பண்ணணும் auditors. Without checking, you can't come to a conclusion. If a cash book, ledgers, there are all the payments, the supporting documents are payment vouchers. If it's a cash book, there are 10,000 payments in the Eastern University 1 month. The 10,000 vouchers may be available, payment vouchers. Likewise, receipts, there are receipts books, right? There are supporting documents, journal entry supporting documents, invoice, GRN, order copy, purchase requisition, right? Meeting minutes, computation, disclosures, worksheets, control manual, analysis, reconciliations, main ledger, subsidiary ledger, everything is called uh, audit evidence, right? So you can understand what includes in the evidence. These are the visible evidence, right? Can we move to next slide, students? I don't know whether share this screen. Yes, uploading business is that one of the students requesting to upload this note. That is that responsibility is with the coordinator. To speak to coordinator, I have no objection, right? No problem. Uploading is not a problem. That you can speak to the coordinator. What is meant by audit evidence? What is meant by audit evidence? Now we come to a definition of this audit evidence. Definition, right? That is given in the standard definition. Right? All the information used by auditor in arriving at the conclusion on which the audit opinion is based. This is called audit evidence, right? According to the standard, information used by the auditor in arriving at the conclusion on which the auditor's opinion is based. Audit evidence includes both information contained in the accounting records, underlining the finance statement and other informations, right? So includes information in the accounting records. Whatever the information in the accounting records, that is evidence. Underlying financial statement, all the assets, liabilities, everything, non-current assets, current assets, bank balances, everything are. The information contained in the financial statement, underlying financial statements are also audit evidence and other information, right? So if you ask the examiner to define what is a audit evidence, you should give this complete definition for this evidence that is given in the standard, right? That is given in the standard definition, standard C, right? There are definitions given sufficiency, accounting records, appropriateness, for everything. The definition is given, right? So we'll move on to next slide. So here you should thoroughly understand what is evidence, right? What is evidence means information used by the auditor, arriving at the conclusion on which the auditor opinion is based. That is called audit evidence. Information used, sometimes he may create it, he may obtain from other sources inside the organization, outside the organization, right? Sometimes created by the auditor himself, created by the client, organization staff, created, sometimes maybe obtained from outside. Every information are called audit evidence, right? Certain confirmation from outside. So bank balance is shown in the financial statement. So auditors himself directly communicated to the particular bank and get the balance. That is called confirmation. Likewise, debtors confirmation, creditors confirmation. Auditors directly communicate with the parties concerned and get the balance. That is called confirmation, right? Debtors confirmation, creditors confirmation, bank confirmation. All are evidences, right? All the information are included evidence, right? Then this one, okay. Other one is sufficiency and appropriateness. That is quality and quantity, right? Sufficiency means how much evidence കണ്ടോണം എത്ര എവിഡൻസ് എടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട് എவ்வளவு എവിഡൻസ് എടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട് numbers. Appropriateness means how good, how competence, right? Quality, right? That is called quality. Sufficiency means quantity. Appropriateness means quality. Quantity is depending on level of audit risk. അവധാന വടിന പോകുന്നത് less evidence or more evidence. Evidence aduo avadana vadina. Risk is high. You have to get more evidence. Quantities more. Avadana aduna risk is low. You have to get less quantity of evidence. So quantity is depending on risk assessment, right? In addition to the professional judgment, the chartered accountant can decide. So, cultural evidence, owner, right, for the opinion. Then appropriateness means quality. Quality is depending on relevant and reliability. What evidence is reliable? What is relevant? Depending on that, we can uh, uh, decide quality. To establish reliability, the standard gives 5 criteria. 5 criteria are given in the standard. We'll discuss later, right? Which evidence is reliable? For example, if the internal control systems are effectively operated in the organization, internal evidence is more reliable than the external. Internal evidence is more reliable. Generally, external evidence is more reliable than the internal evidence. Original evidence is more reliable than the copies. Oral written evidence is more reliable than the oral evidence. Likewise, there are 5 criteria discussed later, right? That is reliability, right? So quality is depending on reliable and relevant, right? So I hope you understood this, that according to the standard, auditors should obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Sufficiency is quantity. Quantity is depending how many audit evidence done on, depending on the assessment, risk assessment. right? Risk assessment, whether high risk or low risk, depending on that quantity can be decided. Appropriateness is the quality. Quality means quality is depending on reliability and relevance. Right. This relationship between audit risk, quality and quantity of the evidence. If you take uh, higher audit risk, higher quantity is needed. Higher quantity of audit risk and lower quantity of audit risk. Higher the risk, higher the quantity of audit risk, evidence is required. අවදාන වැඩි නම් evidence වැඩි කරන්න ඕන. Positive relationship. Higher the quality වැඩි නම් lower the quantity of audit risk is audit evidence is required. Evidence is quality, very high quality. The lower quantity audit evidence is required. Merely obtaining more audit evidence may not compensate its poor quality. Very evidence is not compensate the quality, right? Quality, high quality now, low quantities, yeah. So these are the relationship. You should know what are the relationship between the audit risk, quantity and quality of audit evidence. හරියට දැනගන්න ඕන අවදාන වැඩි නම් the quantity of risk, quantity of audit is higher. Auditor obtain higher quantity of higher number of audit evidence to be obtained. If it is lower risk, less quantity. Higher quality now, less audit evidence, right? So, better now that more evidence without considering more evidences not compensate poor quality. These are the generalization of quality of the reliability of the evidence. Reliability of the evidence. Here we study relationship between audit risk, quantity and quality of audit evidence. Right. Reliability of the evidence. What evidence is reliable? According to standard, this criteria is given. More reliable when it is obtained from independent source outside the entity. For example, bank confirmation. That is independent source outside from the entity. Debtors confirmation. Creditors confirmation. ආයතන ඇතුළේ ඉඳලා ගත්ත නැහැ මේ evidence. This type of evidence obtained from outside. Independent source, that is more reliable evidence, right? So auditors directly communicate with these independent people and get this evidence, right? So this type of evidence sometimes file the case filed against the organization. So this sometimes organization may pay the big compensation. That fact is not disclosed in the financial statement under the contingent liabilities. So auditor can directly communicate with the respective lawyer of the organization and get all the information, right? So this is called uh, evidence obtained directly outside from the independent source is more reliable, right? Second one, internally generated evidence are more reliable when controls are effective. Control means internal control system. Very effective internal control system is designed and implemented in the organization. You can relay, so that is also reliable. So auditors normally use some mechanism, tools to study and evaluate the internal control system. They can use the flow chart or narrative description or ICQ, internal control questionnaires. Through these ICQs or discussion, narrative descriptions, flow charts, then they can evaluate the control system. Whether after evaluation he can decide whether the control is effective or ineffective. Ineffective now you can rely on the audit, the information furnished by the organization. If it is the ineffective control systems are there, so you can't rely on the information created. And indirectly or by references. So the physical verification is going on. Auditor at the time of physical verification, if he present on the spot, he can aware the what are the stock taking instructions are properly carried out, how are the stocks are identified, right? How the involved. Sometimes storekeeper also involved the stock taking, right? Physical verification of stock he should eliminate, right? So he can when he presents, right, directly obtained is more reliable than the other evidence. Audit sometimes control systems or processing, sometimes very big organization at the contract side, wages, pay daily wages, maybe millions. So there may be a fraud, possibility to fraud. Sometimes fictitious names are there, sometimes inflated wages amount may be in the payroll. So many irregularities are possible. So in this case, auditors are present and get evidence himself is more reliable. Right. Third criteria. Fourth criteria, evidence. Written evidence is more reliable than the others. The oral evidence, cash check karana kotta, shrub cash check karana kotta. So that is cash verification. There may be a shortage 1 lakh. So shrub giving oral statement, some reasons. One of the reasons should be a statement in writing is better. Otherwise, later he will change his, he will tell something. So the more reliable evidence is written evidence, is more reliable rather than other method of evidence, oral or some other method. So written evidence is more reliable. Then last one, original documents is more reliable than the photocopies. Photocopies may be possible to modification, alteration, manipulations, right? So the auditor should not accept the copies. Always, even the voucher, when you are checking the payment vouchers, sometimes they are in the voucher bundle. They kept a photocopy of the voucher. Can you accept? The management says that some other reasons, right? That is that some other reason that voucher, particular payment voucher is separated like that. you can't accept. You need an original one, right? So these are the generalizations or criteria relating the reliability of the evidence or appropriateness of the evidence. One is evidence obtained independently outside from the organization is more reliable. Second one, evidence is obtained within the entity where there is a control systems are effective. That evidence is more reliable. Third one, auditor himself obtain evidence or that obtained directly. That is more reliable evidence than other things. Other one is written evidence is more reliable than the oral evidence. Fifth one, original evidence, original documents is more reliable than the copies. These are the five generalizations of the reliability of evidence or appropriateness of evidence is depending on this. These are the public exam. These are always testing this. Even professional exams also. This area is testing areas, sufficient and competence, sufficiency and completeness of the evidence. When internally produced information is used by the auditor, the following shall be established: accuracy and completeness of the information. Right? Should be accurate. Accuracy, you must be careful. Sometimes the management or internally organization internally produce some document. Sometimes maybe false. Panchava, Bharati may be possibility. So you must check the accuracy and completeness of the information. More assurance is obtained through consistent audit evidence from different sources, different nature. Different sources. Different sources means internal source or outside source, right? So that assurances differ, right? Different nature means visible or invisible, right? So depending on nature, depending on source, assurance is differ. Auditors is not expected to obtain all the information as conclusion can be reached by the using sampling. That is not possible. Is it possible to obtain all this evidence? So that is not possible. Auditors always use the sampling method, random sampling, Captcha or some other sampling method that is given in the standard. So there are some techniques. So the sampling method can be used that is advisable in the standard. Auditors are not requested to check all this evidence, right? So that is a random basis you can check. Sometimes for the month maybe 10,000 more than 10,000 vouchers. So you need not to check all 10,000 vouchers, right? You can for the checking some basis or that random basis or sampling basis adapt, right? Systematic sampling. There are some methods, statistical sampling methods are available. So advised to use the sampling to get the information. Necessarily rely on persuasive evidence than conclusive, right? Persuasive evidence. What is persuasive evidence and conclusive evidence? Any evidence is not a conclusive evidence, right? Auditors should relay persuasive evidence. Persuasive evidence means if you take one evidence, sometimes needed to take some other evidence. So, for example, if you find invoice, this a supplier's invoice, if you check the payment, there's a voucher, 10 laptop computers um, purchased at the rate of 3 lakhs each. So that when the auditor check the supplier invoice, there is a supplier's address and amount, everything is there, right? Auditors normally, unless otherwise doubt, he can accept. If there are doubt with the price or supplier, he may check in the supplier's address. Once you check the supplier's address, sometimes may be wrong. Sometimes this supplier may be a fancy dealers. Sometimes that the address is not there. So any evidence is not a conclusive evidence. Any evidence is persuasive, right? Persuasive. So auditors depend on persuasive evidence. You can necessarily rely on persuasive evidence, right? Rather than conclusive evidence. You can't think every evidence are conclusive. Sometimes payment is a voucher. Payment voucher. If you take voucher, there are several persons involved. Vouchers prepared by, checked by, authorized by, certification, approval, payment of, recording. So there are several persons are involved. Why these several persons are involved? That is called internet check. Internet check, part of the internet control system. Why these several persons are involved? To eliminate fraud or errors, intentionally or unintentionally, this mistake. That is why several persons are involved. Payment voucher prepared by, checked by, certified by, authorized by, approved by, recording. Payment is done by other party. Cash book entry is other party. Even though these are segregated, if you want to think, commit fraud, all people are get together and do some payments. Sometimes that purchase is actually not done, but this is called pollution. Pollution. If you want to make any fraud or anything, they can do. So that is why even payment voucher also not a conclusive evidence, right? Just persuasive than the conclusion. So according to the standard, auditor can relay persuasive evidence, right? Any evidence is not conclusive. That is why we are not in a position to give an absolute assurance. We are giving only the reasonable assurance. Right. Now we come to the relationship of financial statement assessments and audit. Financial statement assessments and audit. Uh, Financial statement. Assessment means representations, right? If you take financial statement, all the managing assets, right? So values for the assets, values given for the liabilities, everything is management assets. Management is given this much of values, this much of liabilities, assets, everything management assets. Our audit objective, is check whether this financial statements are free from material misstatements. To check this, the auditor should carry out some audit procedures. To carry out audit procedures, audit evidence are needed. audit evidence. Based on the evidence, auditor report on the financial statement. Bhattava then the order Mudalkini, financial statements. On financial statement, Vartava then Donana, Vigna Vartava, we call Vigna Vartava, audit reports. Audit reports Kurukonamanda, Nidhi Kutukal, Inasiyon. Auditor to carry out audit in accordance with the Sri Lanka auditing standard. Audit carrying out is some audit procedures. To carry out audit procedures, you need to obtain audit evidence. Why these audit procedures? To achieve the audit objective. That is called audit objective. What is audit objective? Tanagandona material, these financial statements are true and fair view. Free from material misstatements. After evaluating auditor, Mathe Dennapulua. Enisha, audit procedures to be carried out. Audit procedures karna kotta audit evidence done. Right? So that audit evidence to check the management representation, management assertions are correct or wrong. Assertions are different type, right? Completeness, accuracy, cutoff, disclosures. We will discuss later, right? Some assertion, right? Ownership, completeness, cutoff, disclosures. There are several assertions are there. Financial statement assertions. So these are the relationship of financial statement assertions and audit. Right. Financial statement assertions are three types. Right? Financial statement assertions are three types. Three type of assessment: transaction and events. Other one, accounts balances at period end. Other one, presentation and disclosures. These are the three type of financial statement assessment. Right. One transaction and events. One transaction and events. When we check the transaction and events, we must check occurrence. Occurrence, completeness, accuracy, cutoff, classification. This transaction and events, we must check occurred. For example, purchase transaction, right? It should be actually occurred. Otherwise, you can't record. And the other thing, it should be complete. If it is a purchase is done within the period. That is completeness. It should be accurate. Amount, everything accurate. Cutoff means within the period purchase only taken into the financial statement. Sometime previous years or another years may be possible to brought in the this year financial statement. Then classification, capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure, current classify current loan, right? That is, these are the representation relating to the assertions relating to the transaction and events. Then account balances, existence. Then right and obligation. Other one, completeness. Completeness already there. This completeness, you might check completeness. Existence, right and obligation. Uh, Valuation and valuation. For example, accounts balance at the period in assets balances. You must check the existence. If it is a 100 vehicle in the university, and according to the financial statement, actually this should be exist in the organization. You can't allow to use some other parties. So it should be exist. Then other one is right and obligation. If the 50 vehicle, 100 vehicle is shown in the financial statement, that should be the university's name. It is a right. You must check the registration book or some other document evidence. So right and obligation. If it is a liabilities are shown, that is an obligation. Then other one is completeness. Everything without omit. Everything should be brought to the accounts. If it, so sometimes some assets are used by the university, but not brought to the financial state. So these are the problem. So then valuation and allocation properly after cost plus depreciation should be valued or revalued amount should be this accounts balance at the period end. These are the assets and category completeness, existence, right and obligation, valuation and allocation. These are the period end. Then last one, presentation and disclosures, occurrence and right and obligation. Occurrence should be occur. Then right and obligation. Right and obligation. Sorry. Occurrence and occurrence, right and obligation. Completeness. Sorry. Occurrence. Occurrence. Completeness. Right and obligations. Classification and understandability. Classification. Not here. Classification. Understandability. Understandability, accuracy and valuation. Accuracy and valuation. So these are the financial statement. These are all financial statement assertions. You must auditor should check the all evidence to establish these assertions are uh, in place, right? If you want to check the account balances at the period end, you must check the evidence for existence, right and obligation, completeness, valuation, and allocation. If you want to check the presentation and disclose, you must check the occurrence, right? Right and obligation, completeness, classification, and understandability, accuracy, and valuation. This is a presentation and disclosure assessments. Transaction and balance assessment, occurrence, completeness, accuracy, cutoff, and classification. This is called financial statement assessment. Assessment means representation made by the manager, right? So these are the three type of financial statement assessments, three categories: transaction and events, balances at the period end, presentation and the disclosure, right? So each and every assessment, each and every categories, what should be checked, right? That is given here. So you must understand this. A given set of audit evidence may provide evidence to certain assessments, but not for others. For example, if you want to check the ownership of the vehicle, university, you can check the vehicle registration. This evidence is not fulfill the existence. Whether they exist or not, it should be physically verifications. Valuation, not not this evidence is the registration, vehicle registration only for the ownership. Valuation, you might check the how the cost arrived, how the depreciation percentage, how the written down value. That should be that is a valuation. So one set of audit evidence may provide evidence for certain assertions, but not for others, right? So if you want to check completeness, right? Completeness. Completeness means no overstatement or understatement. Oh, no omitted. So certain evidence you can check, right? That evidence not compensate for the other assertions. Let's look financial statement assertion in a bit more detail. Inventory, audit procedure, physical observation. Assertion covered existent, nothing else. Inventory check करना audit procedures, physical verification, physical observations. Audit procedures, physical observations. Assessment covered only existence, not existence, ownership, valuation, and the back. Observation karna kota, audit procedures, physical verification karna kota, auditors observe karna kota, only existence. But ownership and valuation, make a balanda back, right? Likewise, trade receivable, audit procedure checking, supporting for subsequent settlement. Assessment covered and existence valuation, but not cut off. Cut off means within the period, the transaction occurred within the accounting period. That is called cut off. So, one assessment cover only one matters. Others, corroborating evidence, information obtained from source independent of the entity may increase the assurance obtained from internal source. Corroborate information means very strong information obtained from source independent of the entity may increase the assurance obtained from internal source. So, corroborating information. Corroborating information means auditors obtained from the internal, independent source, right? For example, if it is a building is owned by the particular organization, there are some other than the this ownership, the deeds This could be some insurance payments, tax payments. Those are the corroborating informations, right? So those information also important. Uh, when we obtain the audit evidence, we must check the cost and benefit of the evidence, right? So if it is a high cost, we can't depend on those evidence, right? So auditors usually relay persuasive evidence than the conclusive. This is auditors shall exercise professional skepticism in evaluating the quantity, quality, and appropriateness of the evidence to support audit opinion. So auditor should exercise professional skepticism. What is professional skepticism? That standard 200 that is given relating the professional skepticism, I explained. The questioning mind, that is you can't simply accept this, right? Questioning mind, that is called professional skepticism, right? Auditor use the professional skepticism in evaluating quantity and quality, sufficiency and appropriate evidence to support audit opinion. You must use not only the risk assessment, but you should use the professional skepticism. Right. There are three audit procedures to be carried out to obtain audit evidence. There are three audit procedures. One is risk assessment procedure. Test of control, substandard test. Risk assessment procedure that is given in detail, Sri Lanka Accounting Standard 315, right? Then test of control and substandard test, I will explain, right? So these three type of audit procedures are used for the obtaining audit evidence. Uh, this is explain the inherent risk, control risk, retention risk, right? Auditors, any material error at all, right? Uh, Certain risks are inherent, you can't avoid. That is a natural, right? Uh, any material error at all, if it is just uh, this material error that caught by the control system of the organization. If the control system is unable to prevent these errors, so you must detect. If you are unable to detect, that is called detention risk. So audit risk is basically Varadi opinion Dunnana when the financial statements are materially misstated. When the financial statements are materially misstated, auditors are given uh, inappropriate opinion, that is a wrong opinion. Varadi Matya Dunnana, that is called audit risk. Audit risk is a three type of risk: inherent risk, that is a natural risk, right? You can't avoid. Control risk through the internal control system, you can catch, you can eliminate this risk. If you are unable to eliminate this risk, you must you must do the audit. Through audit, you must detect. If you are unable to detect those fraud or error, that is a subsequently you may give a wrong opinion. That is that is an audit risk, wrong opinion. Right? This is separately given in the 315 audit risk. So before that, I want to we will I want to explain this type of audit procedure in detail. Risk assessment procedure, test of control, substantive test. These are the three procedures. When we discuss in this standard, we can try to understand this. Then these are this test substantive audit procedures. There are methods to obtain audit evidence, generally called inspection, inquiries, observations, computation, confirmation, pre-performance, and analytical review. These are the 7 or 8 methods to obtain audit evidence. So many exams, these are repeatedly testing that under the substantive audit procedures means detailed audit, detailed test of transaction balances and analytical procedure. It is called substantive audit procedure. Under the substantive audit procedures, there are methods available to obtain evidence, inspection, inquiries, observation, confirmation, computation, recalculation, pre-performance, and analytical review. These are the methods. When we are discussing in the standard, I will explain you what is inspection, what is inquiries, what is observations, what is confirmation, what is recalculation, pre-performance, and analytical review. Right? These are the methods. In the standard, this is a slide show that in the standard details are given what is uh, inspection, inspection of records of documents, inspection of tangible assets, observations, inquiries, confirmation, recalculation, pre-performance, and analytical review. So these are the methods available to obtain audit evidence, right? We have to study in detail. Right, that's all. This is Sri Lanka auditing standard. We will we will have 10 minutes break. Is it okay for you, students? Students,
Yes, sir.
shall we have a 10 minutes break and continue? Now 9:57, right?
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
One chat is there. Okay, right. We will have a 10 minutes break and then we can continue. I am able to take lectures only 11:10. I have to finish this lecture today. I have to make some other arrangement, the commitment. So we will, before 10:15, we can wind up. After 10 minutes break, we will continue, right? Around 10:10, we can continue this standard, right? Standard. So we will have a break, 10 minutes break.
No, sir.
The screen?
No, sir. We can't see.
Yeah,
Cannot
okay,
see.
I will share. I think now okay, no? Yes. Now the screen share is that. Can you see this auditing standard in the screen now?
No, sir.
Mm,
Now okay, sir.
okay. Now okay, no?
Yes,
Now
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Now you see now.
Yes, sir.
Can you see this auditing standard in the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can see now, no screen, your computer screen. Can you see your not seen? Wait, who can see it? Okay, you can see that chat message everything, right? So according to the actually this is the earlier version of the standard. Both are almost same.